the titles and stuff after Audrey Whitehead. This mic is all yours, my friend.
Thank you so much. Lynn, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's great to be here today, January 18th. It's one of my niece's birthdays. So a good day today. I remember when she was born. I think I was 16 years old, 15 or 16, something like that. So it's pretty cool that she's got her birthday today. And I'm reading A Course in Mysticism and Miracles. Begin your spiritual adventure with John Mundy, PhD. And he's the author of Living A Course in Miracles also, which is also being read here in the ACIM Gather by Lydia Houston. So go check that out on the YouTube channel if you want to hear John Mundy's other book, Living A Course in Miracles. But for now, let's get into this book, shall we? Last time we were reading in the section called The Pilgrim's Progress, and we were talking about that book. And so we were into that, and I'm just going to continue reading there. In The Pilgrim's Progress, Christian has a companion named Faithful who plays a dual role as companion and guide. The lesson is that we are here to help each other grow. In the Babylonian tradition, Gilgamesh and Enkidu are enemies until they get into a wrestling match that neither can win. Exhausted, they begin to talk, and each learns that the other guy is not so bad. Eventually, they become friends and companions on the path. Moses had his brother Aaron as companion. Jesus had John the Baptist. Spanish mystic St. John of the Cross had Teresa of Avila. Peter Pan has Tinkerbell. Pinocchio has Jiminy Cricket. Dorothy has the Tin Man, the Lion, and the Scarecrow, each of whom is in search of a different spiritual quality. And like Dorothy in the parable of Oz, we all end our journey home with the realization that we never left it. It was all a dream from which we can awaken. And it's so interesting that a lot of these stories, these fairy tales, do point in this direction of the truth of the, the dreaming aspect of it. And even in The Wizard of Oz, there was no great Oz, it's kind of funny that that was just like all in her mind, really, because she was dreaming. But I love that we have these children's stories, and even the songs. Our song like "Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream," and that's just plain as day. Just says it right there. So myths are filled with companions of all sorts: animals, dolls, puppets, teddy bears, cartoon characters, imaginary friends, or symbolic entities invented by our imaginations. Animals are often found as companions in myth because they instinctively know things of a spiritual nature that humans do not. Animals know how to be still, how to shut down and quiet the mind, something mystics must learn to do. Eckhart Tolle writes, "I have lived with 5 Zen masters, all of them cats." Cats do not care much for the outside world. It does not weigh on them as it does on so many humans. Oh, pardon me, on so many humans. It's all a matter of perspective. Well, I'm not too sure about that because I know cats from my sister's farm, and they love to live in the house, but they also love to go outside. So she's forever letting these cats in and out, the ones that are in the house. And of course, there's a lot of cats because of barn cats and mice and all that. So I don't know. And some of her cats are pretty, they have anxiety when she leaves too. So I don't know if cats are all so laissez-faire as we kind of could generalize them to be, but I understand what he's saying here. Like herding cats, the saying of herding cats. It's not like a cat is trained like a dog is. Although some can be pretty neat too. I remember one time we did babysit this cat years ago. It was somebody I worked with, and it doesn't matter the details. We just had this cat. I think it was for 4 months about. And this cat was so funny. He played hide and seek with us. He would go and hide up on the tops of the cupboards. He had a couple other spots he hid, but we would run around and find him. And then he'd run and go hide somewhere else. It was just hilarious. So very interesting little personalities all of life has. So yeah, dolls have similar value as companions on our journey. Jungian psychologist Clarissa Pinkola Estes writes, the doll is the symbol of what lies buried in humans that is numinous. It is a small and glowing facsimile of the original self. The little doll is a piece of ourselves that carries all the knowledge of the larger soul self. In the doll is the voice, in diminutive of Old La Q-Sab, the one who knows. The doll represents the inner spirit, the voice of the inner reason, inner knowing, and inner consciousness, the small being within. It is our helper which is not seeable, but which is always accessible. That kind of freaked me out a little bit at first, with the doll being the symbol of what lies buried in humans. And I remember just this one doll that my mom gave me, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, and also did freak out Ash too. It was like we didn't really like the vibe of this doll, so we did give it away, and we put it in the closet of my my other niece, her partner there, and we actually ended up scaring him, so we had some fun with it. But yeah, a doll being the companion and having that conversation with them. I remember having the two dolls, Raggedy Ann and Andy, and they were like pretty good friends of mine that I carried around with me, but they mostly talked to each other, not to me. So there you go. Although we are assured of both guidance and companionship on our journey, know that you will also probably encounter what appear to be evil forces or opponents. Moses had to deal with the Pharaoh. Jesus had to face the Romans, the Pharisees, and the Sadducees. Dorothy encounters the Wicked Witch. Cinderella has her evil stepsisters to deal with, and the stepmother, I would say. I would add that. For heroes like Martin Luther, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela, the evil force is often the establishment. the old order, the traditional tyrannical way of doing things. The stealthiest and most difficult opponent is always our own egotistic, fear-driven self that temporarily takes over as dictator. Wow. The stealthiest and most difficult opponent is always our own egotistic, fear-driven self that temporarily takes over as dictator. Holy moly. I like Karen has a picture of a cat in the chat. Thanks, Karen. There comes a point on the journey, however, when you cannot go back. You are not in Kansas anymore, after all. You must move forward and fulfill your destiny. The distractions are many, and so you will stumble and fall, perhaps into an addiction, perhaps into debt, perhaps into a dark night of the soul. And I just heard Nada say, dark night of the soul. Oh. I can hear, I love that. I love when I get the sound of music in this head. It's wonderful. But something will always happen to awaken you. Perhaps your guides will help. Perhaps your companions will come to your aid. You may even crash and burn before you finally come awake. And then some further in the chat from Karen. The ego is the call to war. And in that war, there is no opponent. From A Course in Miracles. We are the opponent because we are doing this to ourselves. Yes. It's all just gets reflected on our own self. All the anger, all the hatred, all the blame games, all of that is just really, we're just beating ourselves up. Giving and receiving are one. So if that's what I'm giving out, that's what I'm going to get. And that's what I got for a lot of years. And I could see that this mind of mine was completely cuckoo. And I didn't know if I should really be a part of society. I just, because I couldn't figure out how to fix it, how to stop the volume of it, and just the variety of it, and just the noise level of it, and just through A Course in Miracles and through this journeyless path, I've just been shown the right mind, and I'm just ever grateful for it. I mean, who wants to keep living in addiction, debt, and dark night of the soul? I mean, it says here in the book, perhaps you're going to go into an addiction, debt, or a dark night of the soul. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm done all three. So, I mean, it's just, and it's just being gentle with myself. It's like, okay, well, I can see my light now and not have that disgust about it. Like, it's just really knowing thyself is what this is about. And knowing thyself, a part of that is looking at this person and forgiving the person, and I could do that intellectually by saying, you know, I can understand these concepts that I'm reading and whatnot, but I did not shift anything until I just really allowed myself to feel these feelings that I was avoiding. It was a big thing for me, was to really move into the body. Even though it's such a paradox, because we're told, and the belief is I'm not this body, but yet that was exactly where I needed to go in order to have a change in perspective, in order to even have the miracle happen. I had to move from my head to my heart and feel what the body was feeling. That's why I was so up in my head, because I was just completely detached from that, because there's no way in hell I wanted to feel any worse than I already was. I was already a ball of anxiety and could go from 0 to 100 in a second. I mean, it's just unbelievable. The hold that this whole belief has, and I mean, not questioning it, but yet I remember I was questioning it, but then it just got really old fast for my parents. And how do you answer these questions that you don't even know yourself? And when your kid's asking, it's probably putting you into fear. I mean, at the time, it's like, oh my God, you hate your parents or whatever. At least I kind of thought I did, but it's just that part of that whole cycle really had nothing to do with me. Anyway, even though I have lots of good stories to say, yeah, maybe I could show some proof that this exists, but it's not what I'm even interested in anymore. Those stories, like, yeah, like I think it was Zulma who was talking maybe earlier with the ACIM meets Christian Science or Science of Mind. And I just was chuckling because I forget where I was going with that. It's just completely gone. That was awesome. I just looked down and I'm like, it's just blank. So that's gone. It was something about you being human and that, but it's all good. You should listen to that program too if you feel inspired, if you feel a little tug. It was pretty fun this morning, Zulma and her program, and then we had a good chat too with Dov this morning, and his program and Karen's program was great, as was Rev Wayne's. Gosh, we got a lot of great stuff happening in here. I'm just so tickled about it all. It's so fun. So yeah, the first dark night of the soul. Mysticism is an inner journey of transformation through which our highest potential can be and is fulfilled. We are called upon to live an ordinary life in an extraordinary way, imbuing all activities and relationships with aliveness, richness, and purpose. In Babylonian mythology, Gilgamesh and Enkidu must save their city. Moses must lead his people to the promised land. Jesus came to tell us about the kingdom of heaven. King Arthur must find the Holy Grail, and Dorothy must find her way back home. Evelyn Underhill, in her book Mysticism, wrote, the creative impulse in the world, so far as we are aware of it, appears upon ultimate analysis to be free and original, not bound and mechanical. The creative impulse in the world. Now, I would venture to say the creative impulse in the world, or that appears in this world, that to me is God, that creative impulse, that energy, that direction, life force. All right, last paragraph of this chapter and of part 1 in this book. So here we go. The great mystic journeys of literature are all symbolic of the path of transformation, which is often portrayed as a dream, as it is for Dorothy, in The Wizard of Oz, for Alice in Alice in Wonderland, and for the boy in the modern fairy tale, The Polar Express. We, like them, wake up only to find that we never left home. For the hero, destiny summons and awaits a response. The more the call is acknowledged, the less we seem to have anything to do with it. The more strongly the call is felt, the more fate seems to step in, heightening the sense of synchronicity. The journey may seem long, and the tasks we are called to perform may seem Herculean, but incredible things happen when you accept the call and your destiny begins to unfold. Dun, dun, dun. Awesome. So the next part of the book is part 2, and it's called The Path of Miracles. And from the manual, chapter 9, remember, or part 9, section 9, remember that no one is where he is by accident, and chance plays no part in God's plan. It is most unlikely that changes in attitudes would not be the first step in the newly made teacher of God's training. So it is most unlikely that changes in attitudes would not be the first step in the, gosh, I can't even understand this for some reason. It's like got double negatives or something. So it is most unlikely that changes in attitudes would not be the first step in the newly made teacher of God's training. So attitudes aren't changed. There is, however, no set pattern, since training is always highly individualized. So, okay, that's the path of miracles. And there's no chance, no accidents, no such thing as synchronicity, and everybody is highly individualized. I think, I wonder if we should go on to I think we should stop there, because then the next chapter's 7, and it's the miracle of purification. And then next week I could just start right with chapter 7, unless what's the time here? Yeah, 4 minutes left. I don't know. What do you think of that, Lynn? Or I could play a song, maybe even throw in a song, or I could just read some more.
Yeah, you can play a song. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll share my screen and I'll play a song.
All right. Are you a co-host? Let me see. Make you a co-host. There you go.
Thank you. All right, let me just find something really quick here first. I got my YouTube up, so I'll just play something from one of my playlists, because I have a few good playlists here. It's great. And yeah, it's been a lovely day. It's warmed up here in Canada. We had minus 40 below a couple days ago because the winter just came in. My goodness, it was pretty cold. Like, I couldn't believe how cold it was. Okay, I think I I'm gonna play. Ooh, gosh, there's so many that are good. Okay, let's see. What's the one? What's the one that wants to come? I'm gonna share right away here. 1 second. Do. Oh, I'm gonna play this one. Sure. Okay, thank you for your patience, everybody, and I'm going to.
Every day, we all have a choice. We can choose to see the world as hell, or we can choose to see the world as heaven. When life seems to be just a veil of tears, when I'm stuck in confusion, drowning in my fears, when it seems I'm on a desert with no water in sight, it's then I take a moment and ask for God's light. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. Help me to see all the joy and love and harmony, what miracles can be. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. I'm willing to know. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. I want to grow. When there's someone in my life I need to forgive, when the pain just seems so great, it hurts just to live. When it's me who needs forgiveness, who needs to be free, free from all the guilt and shame I feel. Show me what's real. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. Help me to see others truly as you look at them, as you look at me. I would give as I receive from you. I'll do it now. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. You show me how. I choose heaven. I choose heaven with my soul. I choose heaven, and in heaven I am whole. I choose heaven, I choose heaven, yes I do. I choose heaven, I choose heaven with my soul. I choose heaven, and in heaven I am whole. I choose heaven, I choose heaven, yes I do. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. Help me to see all the miracles for us to share for eternity. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. It's on the altar, it's all there. Holy Spirit, look at this with me. I hide nothing in prayer. Holy Spirit, I'm willing
Wow,
Who was that? Who was that?
That's awesome.
that was Jody Ebling. Jody Ebling, our dear friend up in they moved up to Maine, I think. They're not in Boston anymore. Well, she's not anyway. She married Rod Shelberg. So